We're just getting older, world is getting colder. Trying to get sober, Lord help me get stronger. World is on my shoulders. How you doing today? This is the 12 of 12 podcast, the podcast about real life recovery, growth and development, redemption, because that's what this is about. And if you have not yet subscribed to this channel, do us a favor, tap that subscribe button and share for more. Also, we are sponsored by First Step Recovery. If you need any help with severe mental illness or mental illness that might be causing you to use different substances, don't wait, don't hesitate, reach out, call us today. You see the numbers up top. Our outreach specialist will be happy to help you. And we have a special guest today, Theo.
Happy to be here. Very happy to be here. Happy to be introduced to this platform, and just happy to have the opportunity to reconnect with my recovery community, friends, and family. So thank you for having me.
Hey, I appreciate you coming in and blessing us with your presence, most definitely. Now, Theo's been doing a lot of things in the community as a recovery advocate himself. It's just been great doing certain things in Louisville, so we're gonna get into things that he's been doing, where he came from, a little bit of background of the story. And please, if you have not yet subscribed, don't forget to tap that. We're gonna have a lot more coming on, and if you want to come on to tell your story, I just want you to know your story matters. You don't know who life it might change. Exactly. So Theo, tell us a little bit about it. Where are you from?
I'm originally from Dayton, Ohio. I like to tell people Cincinnati, Ohio. Dayton, Ohio is about 45 minutes north of Cincinnati, Ohio. I was born to a teenage mother. I have a total of 6 siblings. A typical story, rough upbringing in an urban environment. But my mother instilled in us giving back. So we've always been community education advocates for as long as I can remember. She was very instrumental, and still is instrumental in who I am today. So shout out to my mother, Deborah Howard, on this Mother's Day weekend.
Shout out to Mom. So yeah, hey, happy Mother's Day too, Mom.
Yes.
Don't forget about you.
Yes.
Hey, definitely, that's a great thing. Mm-hmm. And people got to understand, it doesn't matter, certain situations happen, even if you're in a single household, it doesn't mean you can't teach your kids good morals, good standards, and things like that too.
Right.
I know statistics are always high
right.
when it comes to, the probability of someone in a single household raising children, and the children end up getting in trouble. Mm-hmm. It happens all the way around, it could be, I was raised, my mom and dad, and they were married. I just made choices to still do crazy stuff because I just had stuff going on eternally, mentally, things like that I had to deal with myself. But, don't let anything stop you from ever teaching morals and stuff and standards down to your children. And me, I always believe God first.
Yes,
so
sir.
Keep God first in it, man, and you're not gonna go wrong.
That was it. We was raised literally right across the street from a church, St. Louis Baptist Church in Dayton, Ohio. We were constantly involved in, if we weren't going to church, it was Sunday school, or if it was summer camps or whatnot at the church. And my mother always kept us around positive individuals. We were always involved in something positive, whether it be sports or civic opportunities. We always had positive mentors.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And being that you was in Dayton, Ohio, it was kind of rough around that area. How did you manage to stay out of trouble for being raised around that area? Because a lot of people out there, a lot of youth might be in that type of same predicament, staying in a dangerous area or a more crime-riddled area. What are some tips that you might be able to give them to show them, like, yeah, you know what, this is how I avoided it?
Nothing is new, especially with addiction and the substances may be used that we use up may be different. But again, I grew up in the 80s and 90s where crack was the biggest thing. So now we have, it's just now, it's the 2020s, and now we just have different substances. So you just have to stay positive. You have to stay goal oriented. And it sounds simple, but you have to find something that motivates you, right? You have to find something that makes you want to do better. You can be a positive product of your environment. We're always, sometimes, especially being from rough urban environments, we're stigmatized, right? But you don't have to be that typical drug dealer, or you don't have to be the typical person that's going in and out of incarceration. You can better yourself through your education and through other opportunities, but it's important that you stay focused and understand what you want to do, and then identify who you are, right? Don't get caught up in running with the crowd. So whether it be through sports, whether it be through academics, the world is so vast right now. There's opportunities everywhere.
Yeah, it definitely is. I think that's a great thing you said. You have to avoid the stigma of trying to place you inside of that box, and being careful who you surround yourself by, because who you surround yourself by, so your friends are going to show your future. A lot of people, you might be getting bullied in school for getting good grades. You might be getting, made fun of because everybody else wants to listen to this music about
bang bang, shoot 'em up, drug dealers, this that. You might not like that music. If you do, hey, one thing. But if you don't like that music, don't change who you are to fit, another person's perspective of how they might outlook on you. It doesn't matter. Going through life, you're gonna realize that people don't like you anyways. If they like you, they're gonna like you for who you are. If you listen to rock and roll, country, rap, R&B, they're gonna like you for who you are. If they don't like you, they just don't like you. You changing who you are just so someone else can like you. It never works out.
It doesn't. I think that's important for particularly older males in our urban environments to go back and be telling our young men that, right? You don't have to be what the media wants you to be. You don't have to be what you listen to. You can be something different. It's cool to be a nerd, right? It's cool to advance yourself through your education, right? Because at the end of the day, when you're 30 and 40 years old, it's a lot simpler life than playing the streets, right? If I'm educating myself early, I'm cruising in my 30s and 40s. If I'm living the street life, I'm just trying to catch up to what I missed, right? And I think a lot of times, particularly our men in our environments are living second childhoods, right? Because we basically were incarcerated through our first. So it's good to be able to get back, whether it be through social action or whether it be through the recovery community. I think it's a lot of our communities need, addiction recovery services and institutions. So a lot of times they're hand in hand to me.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with you on that. So you went through life being raised by a single mom, kept you in church is a great thing, God first, and still was able to keep yourself contained mentally, physically, spiritually.
Yes, sir.
And what led you to first wanting to get into the recovery field?
I had a stepfather, man, that was, again, I grew up in the 80s and 90s, so crack hit Dayton, it was unprecedented, right? So growing up with a parent that was suffered from addiction for a number of years, I was able to see his recovery, and I was able to also separate the man from an addiction. But of course, he got addiction. He was a very positive man, a good role model in my life, set discipline, set morals, set values, and then he got addicted. So I was able to see him go through that and then find himself again. So I always wanted to be around that aspect of it. I've always been a social service advocate. And again, this is just another way to help people find a better quality of life, right? Because it's often stigmatized, right? We often hide it. But until we address it, particularly as our communities, right, it's going to continue to keep growing, and we're finding all these kids that are addicted to substances even younger than what we experience. So it's just good to be in this field. I love it. I love being able to help people find a better quality of life.
Yeah. So that's a great thing. That's a great thing that you did. You was able to separate the person who they are from the drug that was changing them from who they really are.
Right.
I think people need to understand that when a person is using certain substances, it actually does something chemically to your brain.
Yes, sir.
It affects you and it changes you from the person you really are. That's why so many times people, when they, you see households, you see kids that blame their parents or parents that blame their kids, you have to have some grace somewhere, or friends, when the person is using, they're not who they really are naturally, it's changing them. I always say this, and I stand by it, it's demonic.
Right.
These substances are demonic. They take possession, they take hold of who you are, they change you, and it makes you the worst version of yourself.
Right.
The actions that you're taking, rather it be you're a parent that's not in that child's life at that time, and the child is like, you know what, you just don't want me. I've seen it so many times, and it's a hard thing to see, especially in the community when a parent's not in the child's life.
Yes, sir.
And we could be quick to point the finger at people and be like, you know what, you're just such a horrible parent, but you might not just try to separate yourself, the way you are from that person, because you might not know what that person is going through mentally at that time.
Correct.
And it is a mental issue. That's why one thing I like about First Step Recovery is they focus on the mental aspect of it. You don't know mentally what's causing that person to do that. And a lot of people, majority of people who's using substances have mental issues that's going on.
Correct.
Whether it's PTSD, schizophrenia, bipolar, some might be diagnosed, some might be undiagnosed. And then trauma. Yep.
A lot of it is self-medication, right? A lot of it is just, I just want to feel better, right? It's not just, nobody wakes up, and I tell this all the time, from my experience, in this recovery community, nobody wakes up and says, I want to be an addict. Nobody tries their first substance. Nobody tries cocaine. Nobody tries pills and says, hey, I want this to be my everyday. I want this to be my addiction. It just spirals, right? And until we understand that it's also attached, some of that spiraling is also attached with traumas, depression, is hiding from the world, right? So until we as a society address it as a mental health stigma, then this hiding of addiction is going to continue to grow. We're going to continue to see kids experiment and die from substances they're finding out in the streets, right?
Yeah.
So we're living in a crazy time. We're living in a crazy time, and it's very important for us as social service advocates, for recovery advocates, to be diligent in working with each other, making these connections, and letting go of our egos and our personal feelings, and helping that particular person find a better quality of life.
Yeah, exactly. You know, don't just point the finger at a person. Give your hand out, help lift them up. You know, be there for each other, care for each other. You know, you don't have to turn to substance to ease the pain. You know, there's people out there, there's help out there.
Yes.
There's people out there that care for you. I think one of the problems is that a lot of people too, they think it's not really help, or somebody might not understand, you know, the situation they're going through, because so many people do try to beat the person while they're down instead of helping them out. What are some of the actions that you took inside of the community to move forward to try to help people out?
I'm always in the community, man. I live in Bowling Green, Kentucky now. I'm active in a number of mentoring programs. I'm active in, of course, my fraternity. I'm a member of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. I am also a Mason. So this gives me opportunities to connect in blood drives, voter registration drives, just different things. I'm involved on campus of Western Kentucky University in the Why Not Us program with their African-American male students, helping them make sure that they graduate. I'm active in Jonesville, which is working with Black and brown students in high school in Bowling Green, helping them make sure that they're on the right path. Again, we talk to them a lot of times about the experimenting of substances and how it can be turned into addiction. But we're also very adamant about finding those mental health services. And I know for a fact, if we can address some of these mental health issues earlier, then these kids won't start experimenting and it won't turn into 15, 16, 20 years worth of addiction, right? So it's good also that the stigma of having a therapist or going to some sort of treatment is a lot different than when I was a kid, or even in my 20s, right? In the last 10 years, I think it's almost cool now to say I have a therapist, right?
Yeah, it wasn't back then. Right?
Oh, nah, brother.
It was crazy back then. Like, you want to see a therapist? Man, you crazy.
What's wrong with you?
You got to be, something got to be going wrong with you.
But imagine what some of these kids are seeing every day on the streets. Imagine some of the things that they're just seeing in the phone. The pressure that they have. I have a 15 and I'll have a 16 and a 14-year-old this summer. And man, some of the things they're exposed to, I just couldn't, you know, I wasn't able or mature enough to deal. I couldn't have had a computer in my phone every 5 seconds. I mean, these kids my kids have iPhones, so they literally have access to you know me. So it's important that we're touching base with that aspect of it, as well as just encouraging folks to get the mental health services they need. And I love that you all are doing this at this particular organization, that you all are making that a priority.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, man, I think it's a great thing. I think these discussions are very important to have with people. And, you know, if it's not talked about, you're not going to be able to come in. We're not going to be able to come to a complete understanding of what the problem is and try to find out a solution to how to deal with the problem, you know?
Right.
If you don't talk about it and we don't come together as one. So I think these conversations are definitely very important. How acceptable are those kids or the people you talk to, not only kids, but the people in college, and how acceptable are they now with the conversation that you might have with them when it had to do with the mental aspect, therapy aspect, the recovery part of it? How acceptable are they to
In that particular generation, I think from that 25 to lower demographic, they've been raised, most of them coming up where therapy has been acceptable, right? So it's not a lot of stigma in that. It's that older population that I work with, particularly in the recovery community, because it's hard to go back and address 25, 30, 50 years of depression and trauma, right? We tend to want to run from that. So to turn around and face that has been an obstacle in our recovery community. But I think as more organizations and companies are pairing substance abuse with mental health, in making those, especially with these occurring disorders. I think we're making some great advances in the recovery community, recovery scope.
Yeah, that's a great thing to hear. It definitely is a great thing to hear. What do you think are some key elements that need to be used when it comes to dealing with the discussion with substance abuse and mental illness? What do you think some of the key things that need to be used to actually help overcome the situation of this pandemic and epidemic that we have going on that had to do with the mental illness and substance abuse?
Cooperation, especially with our social service advocates, right? So what I personally may not like may be the correct thing for my particular patient or client, right? So I have to remove my ego and my feelings from it, allow this person to find their long-term recovery. And I think particularly in Louisville, Lexington, and actually in the state of Kentucky, I think we're really good about how we're working together and how we're cooperation over competition.
Yeah, you know something, I actually been saying that also, man, because since I came from Orlando and I realized the recovery scene is different here than it is in Orlando and down there in Florida. It's a lot more, people are coming together more.
Yes.
They're more truthful about what's going on in the city, and they're like trying to come against the stigma of it. You know, they're trying to actually make a change and not just be like, okay, this is y'all. We're going to throw y'all to the side and just let y'all be there, lock y'all up or whatever. I see a lot of great programs with even the court system. I see a lot of people instead of putting them inside of jail, they're actually, I've seen a lot of people get another chance by going to these programs to get help with the mental, to get help with the substance abuse. And it seems like I don't know how it was before, but I think they're starting to come to more of an agreement with the government and with the people in recovery working together to try to actually just come to a solution than to just lock them up and be like, you know what, we're gonna give you time every time you mess up. And that's not really dealing with the problem, you know, that's just getting rid of the person for a little bit. And they don't have the programs and things like that inside of the justice system. So they're going in there, they're doing their time, they're doing whatever they're doing in there, not learning anything, don't have therapists to deal with the situation they're going through. And then they let them back on the street just to go out there and do the same thing with no help. You know, they do that down in Florida. I don't really see them doing that here in Kentucky, man. This is like the mecca of recovery, I think.
It's very supported here, particularly in our drug and mental health courts. Our veterans courts are very helpful. And again, we work really well with each other. In my previous dealings, I've gotten a number of calls of, hey, I can't help this particular patient. What services do you all help? How can you help them? How can you get this particular person over to your organization? So we're doing pretty good about that. But we just have to make sure that we maintain that. And we also have to make sure that we are advocating for those that are not being advocated for, our unhoused population, those that may not be pretty to put in front of pictures and posters, right? But those that actually need the services, whether it be syringe exchange, whether it be condoms distribution, just to make sure that we're meeting those basic needs services as we're also addressing the addiction, right? Because it's easy for you to talk to me about my addiction, but what if my stomach is growling, right? Or what if I've got dry rot in my feet because my shoes are soaked, right? So if we're pairing their social services with the recovery services and recovery advocacy, this is when we're helping people, right? So those have to go hand in hand, and I think particularly in Kentucky, excuse me, particularly in Louisville, I mean, I don't think you can find a better city as far as recovery resources than Louisville.
Yes, definitely. And I've seen that a lot of the overdoses, I was looking at some of the statistics lately, and I've seen that a lot of the overdoses that they usually have, the number has went down drastically with the amount of overdoses that's in the city of Louisville, Kentucky. So what they're doing is definitely working. What do you think is causing that number to drop?
Because people are working with each other, right? And we're removing the stigma of syringe exchange. So you have Savior Syringe Exchange. You have a number of organizations that are now mobile, that are meeting, of course, our unhoused population exactly in the streets. And then you also have naloxone boxes everywhere that are helping these folks find, you know, if you do have overdose, you can immediately get that into your system and hopefully, you know, not overdose or not die from the overdose. So I think that particularly Louisville, the city of Louisville and the state of Kentucky has realized that it's more advantageous for them to have the recovery resources and not the incarceration, right? So I lock you up for a year, all you did is sit down for a year. You get behind on everything, you lose out on your family, then you coming out in the struggle, right? Which is a trigger, which can cause you to use even more. So I think we have done really good about advocating for particularly inpatient services rather than incarceration. And I think that's helped tremendously.
Yes, I agree with you definitely. What are some of the plans that you have for the future, being that you're advocate for recovery? What are some of the plans you have for the future, and what are some things you're thinking of putting in place to be able to help lower that number more, or to bring people up educational wise, spiritual wise, or whatever?
I just want to go where God takes me, man, to be honest with you. I've worked with 2 previous organizations that have been downsized because of the organization have decided to leave the state of Kentucky, which is understandable. It's no hard feelings, or it is, right? Because at the end of the day, it's still organizations have to have business models, right? So I just want to go where God wants me to be, right? I love working with my community, whether it be with our youth, whether it be with our adults. I just love being active and involved, particularly in the state of Kentucky. I love Louisville, I love Lexington, I love Bowling Green as home. So any way that I can be involved through social service advocacy, particularly through recovery resources, I'm all for it. I've had the opportunity over these last few years to meet a number of people that I hold in very high esteem, that I love working with on an everyday basis. But at the end of the day, that feeling of being able to help someone find a better way of life, a better quality of life, to help a father return to his kids, to help a mother be a better mother, or to help somebody get their baby back. To me, that's my God-given gift. God's gift to me is to be able to have that euphoria of that feeling of running into someone at a Walmart that I remember when you was down bad, right?
Yeah.
You got your kids back. You know, you're working full time. You're doing everything that you need to do. Not only that, you're reaching back and helping somebody out, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of us encourage each other in that hard drug lifestyle. Now let's encourage each other to find long-term recovery. Right?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's an important thing, because I always tell people this, man, and it seems like, the closer you get to God. I'm born again Christian. For people who don't know, I don't force it on y'all. I'm born again, and I feel like the closer you get to God, the Holy Spirit of God inside of you is going to lead you to love more, to give more, to care more about people than yourself. When you put yourself first, a lot of times you just don't care about other people. But when you have the mindset of God for doing for others like you would do for yourself, then it's like, you know what, man, I gotta love you like I love myself.
Yes, sir.
So I want the same thing for you that I want for me. I want to see your families come back together. I want to see you clothed. I want to see you with good food. I want to see you be healthy, best health that you could be in, mentally, physically, and spiritually.
Right.
And like I said, the closer you get to God, just keep pushing forward and keep helping people. I get that same feeling, man. It's like nothing like a feeling when you see someone from 6 months or a year from now who you just seen inside of a program, where you just talked to, prayed with them, told them about this place here to get some help with. They're on the streets, they're homeless, they don't have anything.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you see them, hey man, how you been, man? Oh man, I've been doing great, man. I got a car now, man, I got my kids back in my life, man. I got a house now, or apartment now, or I got a roof over my head, I got food now. And it's like, you know what, you see them gain a little bit of weight, they looking good, feeling good, and that right there gives me all the satisfaction I need to know, I'm doing what God has put me on this earth to do. Yep. I'm following my purpose.
Right.
And when you get to that point of knowing your purpose and following the purpose, man, there's really nothing better than that feeling, honestly.
It makes life a little bit easier.
Yeah, it does.
Right.
It does.
It's the small wins that keep us going every day, right? It's not the paycheck, right?
Yeah.
It's not definitely not. In this field, you're not gonna get rich.
Yeah. Facts.
But it's the daily gifts that you're given, right? And it's the small interactions that you're having with just random people, right? And I love that, right? You and I ran into each other 3 weeks ago at a luncheon. Never met each other before. But yeah, now I consider you family. I consider you a friend, right? I can call your phone and say, hey, this is what I need, or this is what I got going on. How can you help me out? And that's the thing about the recovery community, man. We are just like some of the most loving folks I've ever met in my life, man. I've never met or never worked with people before this field where your coworkers really tell you I love you and really mean it, right? Because we're so used to, hey man, we've seen people that were here today and literally 10 minutes, off of substances, right? So I love our community. I love what we do for each other, and I love how, especially in the state of Kentucky, we are genuine, right?
Yeah.
We had a few. I remember a particular instance, maybe a month to 2 to 3 months ago. Government was taking some medical benefits away. In the state of Kentucky, the Recovery Resource Community acted. I mean, we just was galvanized and got with each other. And I think it was reversed within a day or two, right? Not even a week. So we're very strong. We're very consistent with our message. But we just have to make sure that we're prepared for what's new, right?
Yeah,
as soon as we get on top of something else,
it's gonna be something else that's gonna hit. It's always a barrier that gets thrown. I'm telling you, it's a barrier.
Right.
It seems like every 30 days,
right?
It's a new barrier to try to stop what the recovery community is doing to help people, So, I mean, we just understand it's a fight. And as long as we fight together, we got that same mind, the same accord. And that's why I like it too, man, because so many people in recovery, man, they'll go through hard times, either in life. Everybody might not use, but they're recovering from whatever mentally or things they might have went through or however it goes. And they understand hardships. A lot of people in recovery understand hardships. A lot of people have been through hard times, locked up, drug use, mental issues, overcome them, get the healing, and they're giving back. So they understand how it is to go through hard times with other people. And when you get that same mindset, it humbles you.
Right.
You become a humble person when you go through these hard times. A lot of times a person might not go through hard times and then they just, like we said, to point the finger, you might have the higher ups who's in higher places to make certain rules, regulations, things like that. And they might throw a barrier up here, barrier there, barrier there to try to just stop people, to keep a division, I feel, within the people of the city, the people of the state. And I just feel like, we're all human beings. If they just look at it like, nobody's better than the other. We all make mistakes. Some people make worse than the others, but we're human beings. All have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. So at the end of the day, it's like, before you look at this person, what have you done that was bad? I might not have done something that's so bad at them, but who are you to judge?
Right.
How about this? How about you see all these other people who's helping? You see turnarounds. Everybody's not going to do good all the time. We've lost a lot of people. Somebody might do good. They might do good for 6 months, 2 years, relapse, get out of OD. They might do good for a while and get out and this thing, they take their own life. We don't know. That stuff happens. But you got to look at the people who actually go through these programs, get together, and the change that's happening with them. You're never gonna you can't save everybody, but we're planting. I really believe that we working together, just like you said, we come together, good connections, great people with a great heart and great mind who's focusing on the same path.
Right.
They come together. It's really no limit on how many people we can help.
Right.
As long as, the higher ups don't put a lot of barriers on there to help us. Everybody might not be in it for the same reason.
Right.
But the majority of us, I believe we're just here to help people out.
Yes, sir.
So, you told us a lot about your story, where you're from, some of the plans that you have for the future. Now that we're about to wrap it up, I thank you so much for coming on to the show.
Of course.
But what are some of the last words you would like to say to the people before we do end it?
Let's continue to work together. Let's continue to make Kentucky the poster child of what recovery resources and collaboration look like. Let's make sure that we're advocating for those that are not being heard. Let's make sure that we are continuing to be diligent about providing our services that we're advertising. And just do what we need to do to help people find better quality of life, right? Because if I can help somebody's mother, if I can help somebody's dad, that trickles down to kids, right? So that one particular person that you're helping, you a lot of times changing generational curses. You're breaking chains and bonds that their mothers and fathers suffer from. You're keeping their kids from being servants to addiction. That small conversation that you're having with these people, it's not just getting them into your program, it's helping them change their life and find something better for them, right? You're actually saving lives as you think about it on a daily basis. So let's continue to collaborate with each other. Let's continue to love on each other. Let's continue to do what's best for the great state of Kentucky.
Yeah, let's do it. And let's do it together.
Let's do it together.
And we thank y'all all for tuning in. Thank you again, Theo, for coming in and blessing us with your presence, having a great conversation. Remember, growth and development, that's what it's about. And hey, let's work together. Let's save lives and save souls one at a time. Love you all and have a blessed day.